welcome to our new speedrun, everybody. We're starting under 600 at 586, and we're going to be playing the Jobava London from the white side, the Caro-Kann from the black side, and one of the Indian defenses if they play d4. Okay, so as far as Caro-Kann goes, he plays bishop c4 on move 2. This is called the hillbilly attack, because only a hillbilly would put his bishop in a square where it encourages me to attack it for free. Okay, so he moves the bishop back, protecting the pawn. We could definitely take in the center. We could also maintain the tension. I'm going to maintain the tension, believe it or not. I'm going to place the second pawn in the center. You could also have taken the pawn, and when he recaptures, develop the knight for free. But I want to keep my pawns in the center, see what happens. So he develops a knight. What does this threaten? My pawn in the center. I get to develop a piece, indirectly defending my pawn, pinning his knight. So he attacks my bishop. I'm going to trade my bishop for that knight, which relieves the pressure from my center. If I retreated, he could have played g4 and potentially won that pawn. Instead of taking back with the queen, which is more normal, he takes back with the pawn, messing up his pawn structure, but maybe trying to attack me down the g-file. But I haven't castled there, so I'm okay with that. I want to continue developing with a very active move. I want to bring out my queen to an outpost on h4. Because he took with the pawn, the g-pawn, he created an outpost on h4 as well as f4. And then he castles directly into my queen being here, which is crazy. But I mean, this is super low rating, so we can take the pawn. But I want to bring out the rest of my army. I don't really want to go pawn hunting. So let's develop our knight to its most natural square towards the center. Now he moves his king. I think the idea is to defend the pawn that I didn't take last turn but could have. I still want to continue developing or improving. You could bring out a bishop, you could develop a knight. You could even improve this knight because it comes with free threats. So I'm going to improve for free instead of developing a new piece. Why is it for free? Because it comes with this threat. Why is it a threat? Because it's check, and then you can take and create checkmate patterns once the knight's there. He can't move this pawn to cover that square with his bishop because of the awkward placement of his light square bishop, hindering his own development. That's another reason I didn't take. It just leaves him a little more awkward. So now he plays b4, which is a Hail Mary on the other side of the board, because he doesn't like what's happening here. He sees he can't develop his bishop this way, so he's trying the only other way. One of the drawbacks is it hangs a pawn, but we don't want to go pawn hunting for the sake of pawns. If I take this pawn on h3, it's not for the sake of the pawn, it's for the sake of checkmate. So although the b4 pawn is hanging, I'm going to go for the checkmate, which is queen takes h3, and then queen g2. And that's checkmate. If we go through the game very quickly, we're trying to play a Caro-Kann. This is center and development. Center and development. Center and development. Development and center, because the knight's pinned and it was attacking the center. Forced move, because if you retreat you lose the pawn. And now back to development and center. This queen, we're developing it and it's controlling the center, as well as targeting the king, so king safety. Development and center. improving a piece for free, and it's related to king safety because he has 0 pieces over here, just the rook, which clearly can't help, and we're creating checkmating patterns with this queen and knight, and he can't bring in any forces because these pawns are creating a wall that blocks him. And then it's just a forced checkmate in 3, so we go for that. So everything was development center, force move. We'll get in another game because that was very quick. A lot of our videos will probably be more than one game at first at the low ratings. So now we're rated 610. We gained a bit of elo. We try to play Jobava London, but he doesn't let us. He just sacks a pawn on move 1. That's wild. And then he throws the other pawn in the center. The good thing for black is he won't have any problems developing. He'll have open lines for everything. But I'm going to take that. The downside is he's down a pawn. And instead of developing quickly, which would be the whole purpose of what black's doing, he takes with the pawn, which doesn't make sense because it doesn't develop a piece and creates clear weaknesses in the future. So definitely not the right way to take. So now I'm just going to, again, this is no theory. This is just put a pawn in the center and open up a line for my bishop. He develops his bishop towards the center. I'm going to develop a minor piece towards the center. You could have picked any minor piece and brought it out. It's your preference, but knights before bishops does make sense, so I chose that. And he develops a knight towards the center. No threats. I mean, let's keep it simple. We'll just develop a knight towards the center. And our position's wonderful. He goes f5, completely worsening his own position unprovoked. He did it all on his own. He could have just developed a piece, but instead he moved his f pawn, which does attack our center and also opens up a line towards his king. You could continue with just regular development, bringing out another piece. You can even bring out a piece with tempo for free. But knight g5 improves the knight for free because it hits the bishop, and the bishop can't go anywhere, and the knight's protected. So I'm going to do this, and the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to be trading for his bishop, and I want his bishop because then I'm going to be the only one with a light square bishop. And he just played f5. That weakens his light squares. That means the value of the light squares goes up. So if I could take his light square bishop and keep mine, that's a good investment. So in this case, he kicks my knight, hangs the bishop just outright, full free piece, and then moves the queen like it's all part of the plan. But of course, this is not part of the plan. One of the downsides, like I said, is light squares are so weak, we can try to take advantage of it immediately with queen h5, hitting the light squares. He moves his king. This is terrible. It blocks the development of his pieces. It moves towards my army. It obviously can't be a good move. Knight to d5 would almost be checkmate if not for my hanging knight and the queen. Okay, so we have options here. I mean, the simplest thing to do is just break the pin with bishop d2. Now you're threatening this x-ray and winning the queen. So he counterattacks the queen. But that's just hanging, so what? Tell me if this new layout is too bright. Okay, so he hits the queen with his knight. But again, he's just hanging random things. And at any point we can go knight d5 taking his queen. He improves the rook, pressuring the knight. We could do a lot of things here, but let's stick with the one we're gonna do. Knight to d5 check, hitting the queen and attacking the king. So the king moves. I don't want to calculate, so let's take the queen. And then maybe throw a bishop here, and that looks good enough. Okay, so we win that game too. I tried to play Jobava London, but I mean, he didn't let us. He did some type of gambit. We take it, and then we take the second one. You don't have to, but it doesn't really matter. So it's already plus 1.7 because he gave us free pawn and ruined his own structure, so it makes no sense. So now all you have to do is bring out your stuff. We go center and development. We go development and center. We go development and center. Then he does this move and it immediately goes to plus 4.3, which is wild. That's completely lost. So we do jump in here. The engine does like it. And then he just hangs everything, so it's free stuff. It's plus 8. You give this check. I mean, it doesn't even matter. This is so bad. Plus 7.3. We just keep developing, creating threats. It's like there's nothing for him to do. Free stuff, free stuff, free stuff, free stuff, and then he just resigns. So you could see we're probably not going to get a legitimate Jobava London or Caro-Kann, you know, for a while, like theory-wise anyway. So we're just going to kind of have to play random stuff like we've been, you know, you see here, no theory. You have to know how to just play center and develop because there's no theory to follow. Hopefully this helps. This is going to be our new speed run with these new openings. Hopefully we can learn some ideas, figure some stuff out. We probably won't go as high because I don't know as much about these openings, but we'll learn as we go and see what we can do. Good luck in your chess and goodbye.